Welcome to Training Tuesday. We are going to be talking about laying the foundation for your business whenever you do a launch, whenever you create an offer or a product or a service, all of that. How do you start and make sure that you're going to offer something that a market is going to want?
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business. Maybe you can relate to this. When I was a full-time coach, keep repeating the same things to people over and over and over again, and it got to be kind of draining, and I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. So what I decided to do was record the things that I had to tell clients over and over and over again, and then I packaged those recordings together and sold them as an online course. If you're interested in creating and selling your own online course, head over to thrivinglaunch.com, and I have a free training for you on how to create and make passive income through your own online course. On this episode, we're going to be talking with the $1 million marketing mentor guy, Adam Urbanski, and he's a strategist to coaches. He is a small business agent, a marketing whiz, a trainer, and a facilitator, and a speaker, and a passionate entrepreneur. We are happy to have him on the show.
All right, Thriving Launchers, you guys excited to learn how to rev up your business, how to make more profits, and how to help you sell higher ticket items? The reason why this subject is so awesome to me is because one of the things that I learned early on from Dan Kennedy, and it totally goes against what most of us are doing in our business and what most of us understand. Most of us think we need to be going out and getting new clients, getting more people through the door. Yes, that is true. But once you have someone through the door, they're going to likely buy more stuff from you. And a lot of us don't know what to offer once we've offered that one thing we're good for. We don't know how to offer higher sale packages, and maybe we feel uncomfortable with that. So today we've brought on Adam Urbanski to talk to us about how to sell high ticket offers and how to help us really explode our business so that we're making more money, leveraging our customers that we have, and also bringing in higher ticket items when they come through the door from day one. So we're not leaving so much money on the table. So without further ado, are you ready to launch, Adam?
I am absolutely 100% ready.
Awesome. Well, one of the first things I want to ask you is, what's one of the first things we need to understand or get our heads wrapped around when it comes to doing high ticket offers?
That's a great question. You know, one of the first things I'm kind of thinking back to, like one of the first interviews I've ever done, like years and years and years ago, when internet was really just kind of coming about and people were learning about doing anything with internet and, making money online. And there's this whole idea of make money quick and get rich fast. And, my background is in the restaurant industry, so I understood the importance of investment. I understood the importance of longevity in business. I understood the importance of, being in one location. And if you piss clients off, you can't just go somewhere else and start from scratch. You've got too much involved. And online businesses created this impression that you can just kind of snap your fingers and do whatever. And then if it doesn't work, move on. So I think the foundation it's really ultimately about relationships. It's about being of service, being of value to other people. And you realize if you help someone, if you put it in monetary terms, if you help someone create $1,000 worth of value for them, and you're asking them for $10 to $100, 1/100th to 1/10th of that value you created, they'll most likely gladly give you that monetary compensation for the value you help them create. But you can't ask for the reward before you create the results. So again, for me, short answer, learn how to be of service to people, learn how to build relationships and provide value before you start asking for return.
this is something that is so important and so often overlooked, is how do we provide the value first and really have people know that we even have something that is of value before they put their money down. I want to get a little deeper into when you are putting out high ticket offers. Tell me a little bit about that process. What are the steps that you recommend people going through to start putting out high end offers?
Yeah, great question. So, it's so funny. You just mentioned it's so, for most people, one of the fundamental first steps that's extremely hard to cross, because the process of discovering it's very counterintuitive, is actually figuring out what is it that I have that could be packaged into a transformational type offer, service, program, package that people are willing to pay premium price for. So that's the first part, and we can come back to that. How do you discover this, right? The second part is realizing that, I mentioned relationships as the fundamental first step, but really there is another kind of first step. Total side note here. Most people view world in linear terms, like here's step 1, step 2, step 3. In reality, the world doesn't work like this. It's like Einstein's theory of relativity. Everything happens at once. So, there are multiple first steps you've got to put in place if you were to say this way. So once you know what do you want to offer, what do you have that people will value, the second part is realizing that a customer does not equal customer, does not equal customer. Let me explain this. And I love this story I always share with clients. If you were to offer, let's say, some sort of holistic health services, all right? Well, actually, let's take you guys. I know that part of your background is helping people with relationships, right? So imagine this. Imagine that you put together a $10,000 relationship makeover package. Now imagine this, ideally it was for, let's say it was for a single person that wanted to be deeply involved with someone who loves them back and they love them and so on. Now imagine who would be a better customer, a person that, is just like in the second year of, maybe senior in high school, all right, that just broke up with her boyfriend and is absolutely devastated by the experience and in tears and depressed and wants some help, wants some shoulder to cry on, and probably is looking for, how do I recover from this major blow? Life is going to be over for me from now on. Versus someone that, let's say it's a 40-some-year-old person that's an executive in their own company, having a significant revenue, having very successful, well-organized life with only one thing missing, someone to share that life with. Which of those two people would be an ideal client who would be willing to pay the $10,000 for your program?
Okay, so before I answer this, I have a few questions. Does the high schooler have a healthy trust fund or parents?
Okay, you asking for the unicorn, for the one in a million high schooler.
Was this high schooler? Is this high schooler Mark Zuckerberg? That's all I need to know. So anyways, I think one of the things here, guys, here at Thriving Launches to get is that when you're looking at providing a service, make sure that you're providing it to the right people. Kind of makes me think of something that Russell Brunson says quite often, and that is don't serve broke people. So make sure that your market has the income to afford your services. And that's what you're saying, is that if you want to sell high ticket offers, really make sure that you're offering it to the people that have the income necessary to afford it, and then that also have the proper pain points. Because if I try to offer healthy nutrition plans for people that maybe don't have the income and my nutrition plan is very expensive, well, then I'm offering it to the wrong people. But if I offer healthy nutrition plans for people who are looking to lose weight, and I go to a group of people who are all athletes, like I go to a soccer team or something, they're not going to be interested even if they did have the income, because they're not going, oh my gosh, I want to lose weight. Your thing is exactly what I'm looking for. So we need to know who we're offering it to. Can they afford it? And is this the proper offer for that person?
Absolutely. And it's so basic, but yet it's so fundamental, and most people don't get it. Look, in every business, attracting clients is going to be one of your fundamental activities for as long as you're in business. Whether you are doing or you've got a team of business development people that work for you, and you've got marketing and sales department, doesn't matter. In every business, a large part of that business's efforts and agenda and energy and budget will be devoted to acquiring clients. So what happens for small business owners, for solopreneurs, for entrepreneurs in that beginning stage of launching something, like the thriving launchers, well, the mistake we often make is that if someone can fog up a mirror and has balance left on a credit card and vaguely resembles someone that we can help, we go, okay, come on here, give us your money, we'll help you. A big mistake, because then you become an opportunity chaser. You're saying yes to everything rather than saying yes to your ideal clients. So since so much of your effort goes into attracting clients, why not get crystal clear? Universe is like a giant kitchen that can cook up anything you want. And every day you're placing an order. You're placing an order for what kind of customers you want. So why not put out to the universe the exact specification, like here's the ideal client I want to attract. And by the way, here are some negative specifications of people that I do not want to come to me. And universe, I want you to fulfill. And you're going to be putting efforts every single day to doing this. So again, be very, very careful to only speak to your ideal clients to attract them to you.
Even though Luis was making a joke about, well, does the teenager have a trust fund, and I think that what I see a lot of clients coming in, they are trying to go after the unicorn. They're trying to go after people that there's either not even a market for, or more commonly, they want to go after everyone. So I'm really glad that you brought up this point. And it's something that we talk about so often here at Thriving Launch, because it is the fundamentals of everything. Every time you want to create any kind of offer, you have to keep coming back to this fundamental. So let's talk about some more advanced tips on getting your high ticket offers selling.
Mm-hmm. So something came up with me. I'm actually looking for a reference here really quick as you were talking about this. There are two things that you talked about that people want to sell to unicorns, a market that doesn't even exist. I really think this is an advanced tip. So when people consider an advanced tip, they want like a nitty gritty, like here's a script. And let me tell you, the script is completely useless if you don't know exactly who your clients are, what their key problem is that they're willing to spend money and time to solve, and identify how exactly are you going to solve that problem. If you don't have that in place, they consider the advanced stuff, the tactical stuff, and the tactical stuff is actually the minutia that keeps you being busy and chasing your tail. You keep learning and learning, and by you, I mean you, the listener. You keep learning all sorts of tactical approaches, but what you don't have is the fundamentals, the foundation, the strategy in place. So Kamala, what you mentioned was, people chase this unicorn market. And there are a few things I always share with my clients and students. Number one, you must sell what sells. And it's not a cop-out. It's not like, some sort of alternative band all of a sudden going mainstream because that's where the money is. No, you can do your work. You can do what you're uniquely qualified, what your gift is. You just need to learn how to translate it into a solution that is a real problem for real people in a real market. So that's the first thing. Sell what sells. And if you don't know how to do it, you must acquire help to figure it out. The second thing, and I hate this, but there's this ingrained philosophy that everybody buys into, and that is that you must follow your passion. And I think that's one of the biggest and most dangerous things that people get suckered into. I recommend you pick up the book called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport.
We interviewed Cal Newport, and it was a fantastic interview. I just want to reiterate, he's a great guy, and definitely pick that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for you guys listening, just make sure Thriving Launchers, we have that interview over at thrivinglaunch.com. Cal Newport is fantastic. So go ahead and go back to your thing, though, about passion and Cal Newport.
Well, so what Cal Newport talks about is that, it's all about diligent, or I think he calls it deliberate practice. And what we consider freedom and happiness is really a function of creativity and control. And you have zero creativity and zero control over things you're not very good at. Right. So, for example, people always think, well, Adam, you must be like so passionate about marketing. And, I love marketing. I'm very good at it. But what I'm really passionate about is transforming lives. I just chose marketing as a vehicle to deliver, to fulfill that passion. And through the process of learning marketing and getting better at it, I created more control and I can be extremely creative around that subject. And because of that, I also became passionate about marketing as well. So my point being, people come and say, I'm passionate about some of the weirdest things. And look, if it's something that doesn't sell, what you want to do is, again, learn how to translate that into something that sells so that you can create a vehicle through which you can express that passion. And to most people, it's extremely confusing process. And they end up, especially to start with, and especially if they've never created anything that sells really well, they end up creating offers that no one really wants. And they get stuck in this vicious cycle of, learning tactics. They go into blogging and YouTube videos and podcasts and Facebook ads and webinars and seminars and speaking. And they keep doing this without any significant progress because, again, what's not in place is that foundation, the translation of who is your market, what value you provide, how can you connect the two.
Those are definitely great points, and it really reminds me of our interview that we did with Steve Olsher, where he talked about how he doesn't believe that doing the thing you're passionate about is certainly the thing that you should be doing. And there's been a big push in our society of like, do what you're passionate about and trying to force these things together. But that's not always going to be the healthiest business choice or option. We really need to know that there's a market for it. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just give you an example here that just comes to mind. Maybe totally weird, but I think it's a great example. A number of years ago, probably a good 15 years ago now, I founded a charitable organization in my local neighborhood. And we were doing a lot of good things for young people. And at one point, we're doing a fundraiser for aspiring athletes who were kind of an Olympic level athletes, but they couldn't afford to go to, to do it on their own. And we ended up hosting it in a home of a owner of a local, one of the biggest, the most exclusive homes I've ever seen in my life. And when you think about it, I doubt this guy is passionate about collecting garbage every day. And yet he's built, this amazing company. And that company does so much good, not only provides a fantastic service, but, what he does for his employees, what he does in terms of fundraising and impacting people who can't help themselves. I know for a fact that he's just a passionate philanthropist, but he could not be a passionate philanthropist if he didn't have a thriving trash collecting business first. And I'm certain that in that business, he did what needed to be done, when it needed to be done, and how it needed to be done to make it go, whether or not he liked it or was passionate about it at the moment.
Really beautiful point. So I'd love to move beyond the beyond of what are we doing? Like, how do we get our market? What's the next big step?
Beyond the beyond. I think so. We can maybe before we go to the beyond, how do you guys feel about going back to the beginning? Like, how do you discover what is the thing? What is the thing that you could sell? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, let's assume that we already have the thing that we can sell. What would we do after that? We already know our market. We have the thing that we could sell.
All right. So you've got your market, you know what you're selling, and now you want to go and find your clients, right? So that actually is quite easy if you have the foundation in place. So, again, another kind of clever saying, I always say there is no lack of clients out there. There is only lack of marketing ideas in action. But look, everybody always says like the fastest way to get clients is, and they talk about, well, go get speaking engagements or do Facebook ads or do a webinar. Do joint venture strategies. Now, all of those things are amazing and they are fast in the way that they are leveraged. So, for example, if you do a webinar and you use Facebook ads to drive people to your webinar, you're going to attract more than one client at a time. I'm certain you guys practice that in your business, right? Or something similar. However, it's not the fastest way because, well, you need to learn how to do Facebook ads or have the funds to hire someone to do it for you. You need to learn how to structure a webinar that teaches and sell. So you need to script that. You need to have technology in place to deliver both Facebook ads, webinar. You need to have a webinar platform. You need to have some sort of online process to capture and convert leads and sales. All of that is quite complex. And for a person that never had an experience with it, it can take weeks,
months,
most cases months.
Yeah.
And in some cases, even years. People just get so stuck on this. So look, and I'm kind of cringe as I have to say that because, I'm known as the attract clients like crazy guy. And it's all about making people come to you. But I use the process, but we used to call it snipering. And through help of one of our clients, we changed it to spotlighting. But essentially, this is how I grew my business when I first got started. I made the list of people that I knew or knew of that I could be of huge service to. And I simply thought of how can I be in connection with them and how can I make my offer to them? And, so we call it snipering or spotlighting is the art of cold outreach and turning cold leads or cold connections into warm leads immediately. And you can do it everywhere today. I'll give you an example. Right now, we have one of our clients that she just started her business. January 2nd was her first day. She just quit her job in December. Between January 2nd and February 15th was the last thing she reported to us. So about a couple of weeks ago in between, since this recording is taking place, she brought in, I think, just under $80,000 in revenue. She's a brand new coach, again, brand new business. And the way she did it, she created a Facebook group where the group is thematically congruent with the value she wants to offer through her coaching services, and quickly attracted about 300 people to that group. And out of those 300 people, she used the art of spotlighting, which is, connections with folks. So at this point, they weren't even cold connections because they were already connected through that group to her, but she turned those semi-warm connections into hot leads. And enough of them, I think at this point, she brought in between her private work and group work, somewhere around 30 clients. So, 3 months, so roughly 10 clients per month, enough again to generate $80,000 in revenue. That's probably one of the fastest ways. Find access to a group of people that resemble your ideal prospects as closely as possible, and master the art of reaching out to them. Look, there is no faster way to get a client than let's say the two of you were good prospects or good clients for me. There is no faster way than finding a way to get in front of you and having a conversation, presenting, showcasing how I can be of massive value. And if it's a fit, asking for the business. But most people are so deathly afraid of facing rejection, they just can't make themselves do it. And instead, they hide behind technology and excuses and stories. And weeks, months, even years later, they're not much farther along simply because they're afraid to show up in front of someone, present the value, and ask for the business.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And I'm so glad that we have Luis on the team who he is the people person. He is the one that's not afraid to go out and get rejected. And that actually he likes rejection because it helps him hone his skills even more and making connections and looking for more ways he can serve people. So it's a really good skill to master, and you don't have a business if you don't have that. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Before we close, what is the last tip that you'd give for us to go out and apply to our businesses, the Thriving Launchers to apply today?
There are a couple of things. So number one is I always talk about the fact that the more you teach, the more you attract, the more you sell. So when you're teaching, people come. When you're pitching, people run. It's look, you don't have to sell someone on coming up and listening to your podcast. When they come across it, then they kind of go, wow, this is something valuable. Let me listen in. They automatically are attracted versus if you were, if the podcast was titled, how to work with Lois and Kamala, I doubt that people will be lining up when they finally go I don't want to listen to that, right? So teach first, and that will open the door to selling. And maybe the last thing I will share is this. What you just said, Kamal, was just a huge revealing point that, Lewis thrives on he likes rejection because it makes him feel better. There is an element of truth to that, and I totally get what he means. But I think for our audience, for the thriving launchers out there, listen, folks, don't look at a no as a rejection. No one is rejecting you. You simply have established through the process of whatever. Usually we're afraid of rejection in a conversation, right? If somebody just leaves your sales letter online, it doesn't hurt you. It's when you're having a phone conversation or in person and they tell you no. The no is not a no to you. You have simply ascertained that you and that person and whatever solution you've got are just not a good fit, at least not at this very moment. And you mutually decide to move in different directions. It's just that simple. It's so beautiful. It's so elegant. It's actually very, releasing if you choose to treat it this way. So the last tip is, look, set an intention of being an incredible value for people. Set up to every event, every conversation, everything you do with an intention to create breakthrough for people, deliver massive impact in a short amount of time you possibly can. And if they're open to buying the next step from you, if it's a fit, then by all means invite them. But if it's not, don't get discouraged. Because if you set your eyes that I've got to make the sale, you're going to be constricted by that idea of I have to make a sale. And it's going to rob you and the people you talk with of opportunity of creating massive impact and massive breakthrough.
Thriving Launchers, we've been here with Adam Urbanski. It's been so fantastic to have you tuning in. We've been talking about attracting your following, growing your audience, and making more money in your business. I encourage you all to go out and apply some of these things that Adam has talked about today and keep thriving, everyone. You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there. Be sure you check out the next episode where we're going to be talking with Peter Dunn about how to analyze success. We're even going to give you a formula to analyze what your wealth is doing and how to make sure that you have sustainable wealth long term. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure that you're subscribed on iTunes.